Picture a room. It's a nice room, maybe a high-end coffee shop or the lobby of a beautiful hotel. The doors open and a woman walks in. You notice her immediately because her outfit demands that you notice her. She has the designer logo belt, the oversized branded sunglasses, and the bag that currently has a 6-month wait list. On paper, her outfit costs more than a used car. But watch how she moves. She is constantly adjusting the strap of her bag. She tugs at her hemline. She scans the room, her eyes darting from table to table, checking to see who is looking at her. She spent $5,000 to step into that room, but she is wearing her anxiety. She looks overdone. She looks uncomfortable. Now, the doors open again and a second woman walks in. She isn't wearing a single visible logo. She is wearing a simple, crisp linen button-down shirt, a pair of tailored trousers that drape perfectly over her shoes, and minimal gold jewelry. Her outfit might have cost $150 total, but she doesn't scan the room for approval. She walks to the counter, orders her coffee, and sits down. She exists within her clothes, rather than letting her clothes wear her. She radiates this quiet, undeniable authority. If you ask anyone in that room who the wealthiest person is, they will point to the second woman every single time. Why? Because she looks inherently expensive. We need to redefine what that word means, expensive. Because right now, we are getting it completely wrong. We have been conditioned to believe that looking expensive is a mathematical equation. If I swipe my credit card for this specific luxury item, I will instantly possess value. We treat clothes like a megaphone to scream at strangers, "Look at me! I am successful! I belong here!" But true elegance doesn't scream. It doesn't need to. Looking expensive has absolutely nothing to do with signaling your wealth to a stranger on the street. It has everything to do with signaling self-respect to yourself. When you put on a garment that fits your body flawlessly, made of a fabric that breathes, and you take the time to steam it and care for it, you are looking in the mirror and saying, "I am worth this level of care." It is a deeply personal standard. When you dress for yourself with that kind of reverence, the rest of the world simply reacts to the respect you have already given yourself. But that kind of quiet self-respect doesn't make corporations any money, so they sell us a lie instead. If you open your phone right now and scroll for 5 minutes, the internet will aggressively equate your personal value with your level of consumption. You will be told that your wardrobe is outdated. You will be told that you need the new it bag, the viral sneakers, the coat that everyone is wearing this week. We buy these things, not because they align with our personal style, but out of fear. It is driven purely by insecurity. We are terrified of being left behind. We are terrified of looking like we don't have the resources to keep up. So, we buy into the fast fashion hamster wheel. We purchase 20 cheap, poorly made items just to participate in a micro-trend that will be embarrassing to wear in 3 months. We buy the illusion of belonging, but we end up with empty bank accounts and closets full of clothes that make us feel absolutely nothing. It is time to step off that wheel. You cannot buy your way into elegance. You cannot add it to a digital shopping cart, and no designer brand can grant it to you. True elegance is a byproduct of 3 things: intentionality, discipline, and patience. It is the intentionality to know exactly who you are. It is the discipline to say no to cheap trends that don't serve you. And it is the patience to save your money, curate your life slowly, and build a wardrobe that actually reflects the woman you are becoming. You cannot buy it. But starting today, we are going to cultivate it. Let's look at exactly how to build it. I want you to think about the last time you stood in front of your closet. Not just glancing at it, but truly standing there, getting ready for an event or a meeting. The hangers are jammed so tightly together that you can barely pull one out. The rack is physically bending under the weight of the fabric. And yet, as you stare at hundreds of garments, you feel this rising panic in your chest and you think, "I have absolutely nothing to wear." We have all been there, but we rarely stop to ask ourselves why that happens. The reason you have a bursting closet and nothing to wear is because you haven't been buying clothes. You have been buying dopamine. When you feel stressed or unvalued or invisible, fast fashion offers a remarkably cheap, immediate high. You click a button, a package arrives at your door, and for about 5 minutes you feel a thrill. You feel like a new, upgraded version of yourself. But then you actually put the garment on. It pinches at your waist. The synthetic fabric makes you sweat. A button falls off after the first wash. The seam twists. When you look in the mirror, you don't feel upgraded. You feel cheap. And because that feeling is so uncomfortable, you go back to your phone and you buy another cheap item to try and fix the feeling the last cheap item gave you. It is a cycle of financial self-sabotage that leaves you exhausted, broke, and buried under a mountain of polyester. This brings us to the deepest psychological hurdle of getting dressed. If you constantly feel like you are playing dress-up in your own life, it is because you are buying costumes for a fantasy, rather than clothing for your reality. Look in your closet right now. How much of it belongs to the woman you actually are, and how much of it belongs to a fantasy self? We all have her. The fantasy self is the woman you imagine you will be when you finally lose 10 pounds. So you buy a dress 2 sizes too small and let it mock you from the back of the closet. The fantasy self is the edgy, downtown artist you want to be. So you buy a stiff leather jacket you never actually wear because you work from home in the suburbs. When you buy for the fantasy self, you are rejecting the woman you are today. You are telling yourself that your current life, your current body, and your current routine are not worthy of beautiful things. True elegance requires radical acceptance. It is the moment you stop dressing for the woman you think you should be, or the demographic you are desperately trying to impress, and you start honoring the body and the life you have right now. When your clothes finally align with your actual identity, the anxiety of getting dressed vanishes. You stop wearing costumes. You start wearing your truth. Which is why we have to talk about the internet's favorite aesthetic right now, the old money trend, or quiet luxury. If you look this up online, you will find thousands of videos telling you that to look old money, you need to buy a specific cream-colored cashmere sweater, a specific structured tote bag, and a specific pair of loafers. They took a concept rooted in financial discipline, and they turned it into just another costume for you to buy. They entirely missed the point. The essence of true luxury isn't the color beige, it is the absence of anxiety. People with generational wealth do not cover themselves in massive, glittering logos because they have absolutely nothing to prove to you. They are not asking for your validation, so their clothing doesn't shout for your attention. You do not need a trust fund to capture that energy, you just need boundaries. When you refuse to be a walking billboard for a brand, when you refuse to spend money you don't have to just look wealthy to people you don't even like, you instantly elevate yourself. You step out of the frantic, noisy rat race of consumption. Looking expensive is not an aesthetic you purchase. It is the quiet, unbreakable confidence of a woman who is entirely in control of her life and her finances. And once we have that mindset locked in, then, and only then, can we talk about the clothes. Let's look at the actual architecture of your wardrobe. Now that we have cleared away the anxiety, we can look at the actual architecture of your wardrobe. If you want to construct an aesthetic of wealth and elegance, there are 3 non-negotiable pillars. The first, and arguably the most important, is fit. Most people believe that expensive clothes look expensive because of the brand name stitched inside the collar. That is completely false. Expensive clothes look expensive because they are cut to map perfectly to the human body. Let me give you a mathematical certainty. If you take a $2,000 designer blazer and the shoulders droop, the sleeves swallow your wrists, and it pulls across your chest, it will look like a $20 blazer. But if you go to a thrift store and buy a $20 blazer, and you take it to a tailor who nips the waist, lifts the hem, and sculpts the shoulders to your exact proportions, you will look like you just walked off a runway in Milan. Tailoring is the greatest secret of the wealthy. But more than that, tailoring is a profound act of self-love. When you buy off the rack, you are buying a garment cut for a statistical average. It wasn't made for you. When it doesn't fit right, your first instinct is usually to blame your body. You tell yourself, I need to lose weight, or my shoulders are too broad, or my legs are too short. When you take a garment to a tailor, you reverse that dynamic. You stop forcing your body to accommodate the clothing, and you force the clothing to respect your body. You are sending a physical message to your brain. My body is correct exactly as it is. The fabric is what needs to change. Find a local tailor. View that $30 alteration fee not as an extra cost, but as an investment in your daily confidence. The second pillar of elegance is fabric. If fit is the architecture of your wardrobe, fabric is the foundation. You can have the most perfectly tailored garment in the world, but if the foundation is rotting, the house will fall. Reading a clothing label is a financial skill. It is just as important as reading the terms of a credit card. Right now, fast fashion relies almost entirely on synthetic fibers: polyester, nylon, acrylic. These are plastics. They are petroleum products extruded into thread. And no matter how beautifully they are dyed, they behave like plastic. They do not breathe. They trap sweat and odor. They pill after 2 washes. And under natural sunlight, they give off a harsh, artificial shine that immediately exposes how cheaply they were made. True elegance relies on natural fibers: cotton, linen, wool, silk, cashmere. These materials have been worn by human beings for thousands of years because they work with your body, not against it. They breathe. They drape heavily and beautifully. They age with grace. When you are on a budget, this requires a shift in how you shop. You have to become ruthless about checking tags. You might find a beautiful sweater on a clearance rack, but if the tag says 90% acrylic, you are leaving it on the rack. It is not a bargain. It is a waste of your money. Spend your time hunting in vintage stores and consignment shops. Learn the physical weight of a heavy silk shirt or the rough, honest texture of a 100% cotton denim. When you wear natural fibers, you aren't just looking more expensive, you are physically moving through the world with more comfort. The third and final pillar is finish, and this is where most people fail because this pillar requires discipline. Elegance is in the maintenance. You can own a perfectly tailored 100% silk blouse, but if you pull it off the floor of your bedroom, covered in wrinkles and pet hair, and throw it on before rushing out the door, the value of that garment drops to 0. We treat garment care like a tedious chore. We hate ironing. We avoid hand washing. But caring for your clothes is the physical manifestation of financial respect. There is a quiet, meditative power in taking 10 minutes on a Sunday evening to steam the trousers you are going to wear on Monday. There is discipline in taking a lint roller to your wool coat before you leave the house. There is pride in snipping a loose thread or polishing the hardware on your handbag. When you do these things, you aren't just doing chores. You are protecting your assets. You are communicating to yourself that your investments matter. A woman who takes the time to polish her shoes is a woman who moves through life with intention. She is not rushing. She is not frantic. She is prepared. Fit, fabric, finish. When you master these 3 mechanics, you no longer need designer labels to do the talking for you. Your presence will speak for itself. Now, we have to talk about the part of this process that our culture absolutely despises: patience. If you do not have a massive, unlimited budget, you cannot build a dream wardrobe in a weekend. And honestly, you shouldn't try to. We have been conditioned to expect immediate gratification. You have a bad day at work, or you feel invisible, so you drive to the mall and panic buy 4 new outfits just to feel something. That isn't style. That is emotional spending. It is using your hard-earned money as a band-aid for your anxiety. True elegance is financial discipline. Waiting is the ultimate luxury. It is the profound flex of a mature, self-possessed woman. It is the ability to look at a trendy, poorly made sweater online and say, "No, I am keeping my $50. Next month, I will add another 50 to it. And the month after that, another 50. And I will buy the beautiful structured wool coat that I will wear for the next 10 years. When you delay your gratification, you are no longer a victim of impulse. You become a curator. To build that kind of patience, we have to change the math in our heads. We have to stop looking at the price tag and start looking at the cost per wear. When you buy a $30 fast fashion jacket, your brain tells you that you got a deal. But if that jacket looks cheap, feels uncomfortable, and falls apart after you wear it 5 times, the true cost of that jacket is $6 every single time you put it on. Now imagine saving up to buy a beautifully tailored, high-quality blazer for $200. Initially, that feels terrifying to a strict budget. But if you wear that blazer twice a week for 5 years, your cost per wear is less than 40 cents. The $30 jacket was an expense. The $200 blazer was an investment. Being broke is expensive because you constantly have to replace the cheap things that break down. When you shift your mindset to cost per wear, you stop asking, how much does this cost right now? And you start asking, how much value will this bring to my life over the next 5 years? That single question will completely change how you manage your money. And this brings us to the word that makes everyone cringe, the budget. We have this terrible habit of viewing a budget as a prison. We view it as a restriction that keeps us from having nice things and enjoying our lives. I want you to completely reframe that definition today. Your budget is not a restriction. Your budget is a filter. Your budget is a protective shield that stands between you and the companies desperately trying to sell you garbage. It protects you from buying things you will regret. It forces you to pause, to breathe, and to evaluate what actually matters to you. If you struggle with impulse buying, I want you to implement the 72-hour rule. When you are scrolling on your phone late at night and you see an item you feel you desperately need, put it in your digital cart. And then, close the app. Do not buy it. Leave it there for exactly 72 hours. If 3 days go by and you are still obsessing over it, and you have evaluated its cost per wear, and you know exactly how it fits into your wardrobe, then you can consider buying it. But 90% of the time, you will completely forget it was even in your cart. You didn't actually want the item. You just wanted the momentary dopamine hit of clicking buy. Let the 72 hours pass. Keep your money, protect your peace. Because true elegance does not rush. Up until this point, we have talked entirely about what you put on your body and how you manage the money to acquire it. But there is a final, invisible element we have to address. Because the truth is, the clothes are only 50% of the equation. You can execute everything we just talked about perfectly. You can wear the most exquisitely tailored, heavy silk blouse in a beautiful, rich color. But if you walk into a room with your shoulders hunched forward, your eyes fixed on the floor, shrinking yourself down as if you are apologizing for taking up space, the elegance completely vanishes. Elegance requires you to inhabit your body. It requires you to stand up straight, to keep your chin level, to look people in the eye. When you shrink yourself, you are physically communicating insecurity. When you stand tall, you are telling the room that you belong exactly where you are. Your presence is the actual luxury. The clothes are just the framing. Part of that presence comes down to grooming. But again, the internet has completely distorted what this means. Social media will tell you that to look put together, you need a 15-step skincare routine, heavy contouring, false lashes, and perfectly styled hair every single day. That is glamour. Glamour is beautiful, but it is not the same thing as elegance. Elegance is rooted in simplicity and hygiene. It is the discipline of cleanliness. Looking expensive is often as simple as having clean, well-brushed hair. It is having moisturized skin. It is keeping your nails neat and clean, even if they have absolutely no polish on them at all. When you strip away the heavy, complicated layers, you stop hiding your face behind a mask. You allow your natural features to breathe. That level of simplicity projects an immense amount of self-assurance. It says, I do not need to paint on a new face to be worthy of your respect. And finally, we have to talk about how you move through the world. Think about the people you perceive as the most elegant. Notice what they don't do. They do not rush. They do not frantically over-explain themselves. They do not nervously fidget with their jewelry or their hair. Rushing is the enemy of elegance. When you rush, you signal chaos. When you move slowly, when you speak deliberately, and when you allow moments of silence to exist in a conversation without awkwardly rushing to fill them, you project profound power. When you finally curate an outfit that makes you feel incredible, do not go out into the world and immediately seek validation for it. Don't fish for compliments. Don't nervously ask your friends, "Does this look okay?" Put the clothes on, know your value, and move in silence. Let the world adjust to you. We have covered a lot of ground today. But if you take absolutely nothing else away from this conversation, I want you to remember this. Looking expensive is ultimately just a byproduct of treating yourself with high value. When you take the time to find clothes that actually fit your beautiful current body, when you carefully steam a shirt on a Sunday night, when you choose to save your money instead of blowing it on a micro-trend that makes you feel cheap, you are doing so much more than getting dressed. You are actively communicating to your brain that you are worth the effort. You are taking back your identity from the corporations that want to sell you your own insecurities. You don't need a designer logo to validate your existence. You just need to show up for yourself with intention. So, I have a challenge for you this week. Think of it as your homework. Sometime in the next few days, I want you to walk into your bedroom, open your closet, and do two things. First, I want you to find 3 items that make you feel less than. Maybe it is the pair of jeans that pinch your waist and make you feel bad about your body. Maybe it is the scratchy polyester top you bought on impulse and hate wearing. Take those 3 items out, put them in a bag, and donate them. Give yourself permission to let go of the physical weight of bad decisions. And second, I want you to find the one beautiful, high-quality item that you actually love, but that you have been saving for a special occasion. Take it off the hanger, and I want you to wear it on a random Tuesday. Wear it to the grocery store. Wear it to go get coffee. Stop waiting for a magical someday to look and feel your best. Your life is happening right now, and today is a special occasion. Thank you so much for sitting down and sharing your time with me today. If this conversation resonated with you, and if you are ready to stop dressing for trends and start dressing for the woman you are becoming, I would love for you to subscribe and join this community. We have so much more to unpack together. Until next time, protect your peace, wear your good clothes, and remember to give yourself some grace. Have a beautiful week.